The Joe Rogan Experience.
Few things happened since I last saw you. One guy got shot.
Yeah, some guy.
And the guy who shot him, his body vanished.
Yeah.
No.
Now, did he get shot? Because I've seen a lot of people talk about this. Like, no, he didn't get shot.
That's hilarious.
Oh my God.
Like, do you think that he cut his ear like a pro wrestler?
Yeah.
I got shot. Like it's all fake. The guy behind him who got murdered, that wasn't real.
I saw that. Again, you would think that would be a clue, but I've seen things where they say no, he didn't have any blood on him, and then he ducked down behind the podium just long enough. And I'm thinking, are you fucking psycho?
They are psycho.
But then to be fair, then. Well, no, that can't be fair. How can you be fair?
There's no fair.
There's no fair. Yeah.
We heard gunshots. We saw a guy get shot who was shooting at him. The guy behind him got murdered.
Yeah.
A couple other people got injured.
Life-changing injuries.
Yes.
Yeah, serious injuries.
Yes, serious injuries. I mean, it 100% happened. To say it didn't happen is insane. And then you had Joy Reid on TV saying, well, Biden got over COVID, which is basically the same thing. Yeah. People are losing their fucking minds. And they're afraid. Everyone's afraid to be objective. Because if you're objective, somehow or another, you're helping the other side.
Yeah. Oh, no. If you even try to walk a line that's somewhere near the middle of anything nowadays.
That's me.
Yeah. You'll get. Well, there you go. Then you get your ass kicked. And I was telling Emily, I was telling my wife the other day that I consider that a really good thing because, like, oh my God, this is like I'm 2 minutes into it, and I've already mentioning the podcast, The President's Daily Brief. Look, I'm getting much better at this.
Good plug.
So on The President's Daily Brief, we try to just walk kind of down the middle. We just tell you the news. Here's the top things that are happening. What I find is I get angry messages from both sides because I'm not staking out a position.
Right.
I'm just saying, here's what's happening. And, for the most part, we try to avoid context or atmosphere for the most part. But you're just pissing everybody off.
People want to get mad, first of all. That's the thing. Like Andrew Huberman was talking about that today. That the things that when they study like what excites people and what people gravitate towards, it's 100% like more potent to get angry about things.
Yeah, I think you're right. There must be some sort of chemical release in being outraged, right? That makes people feel
I think it's
good.
It's in our wiring, in our DNA, because we always had to look out for threats. So you find things that you perceive are threats or things that are going to be a problem, and you get angry about them, and you do it on social media instead of in the jungle.
Yeah. I think with the Trump thing, though, I was surprised at how. Because there was about a day and a half, maybe it was 36 hours of how could this happen? Look what we created, this environment. We have to be more civil with each other.
Yeah.
And that was a big push from the Democrats, right? You remember Biden and Harris talking about we've got to be more civil. We've got to dial it back and turn down the temperature. And that lasted for that side. That lasted almost no time at all.
Less than 2 days.
Yeah,
and they were back calling him a piece of shit and a liar.
Yeah, and a threat to democracy, and he's got to be stopped.
Unbelievable.
And now to be fair, neither side really stuck to the idea. I would argue if Trump had just said, you know what, from a strategic point of view, maybe it's not me, maybe it's not what I want to do, but from a strategic point of view, if after that attempt had happened and he had just walked that civil line and said, I've had a reflective moment, and if he had kept the high road, think about the disparity there, because the Democrats, first of all, they would have gone crazy because they wouldn't have known what to do. But they also wouldn't have been able to help themselves. So they would have turned into, they would have thrown the hand grenades again, and as usual. And then you would have had Trump over here being the reasonable one and being the reflective and civil one.
That would have been a good strategy.
Yeah, but it didn't happen.
No, it's not in his nature.
No.
That's the scorpion and the frog.
Yeah. I forgot about that story. That's right. The scorpion needs to ride across the pond. Yeah.
Exactly. It's the same thing. I mean, that guy loves to talk shit. He's calling Tim Walz Tampon Tim now.
Yeah.
He's so good at it. It's such a good nickname. He's so good at it. He's so good at that shit. Oh my God!
Tampon Tim, man. Look at what we're getting. We're getting Harris and we're getting Walz.
Unbelievable.
And
what do you think about Walz's descriptions of his military career? Because there's some issues there.
Yeah.
That people have. I don't know if he flat out ever said that he served in Afghanistan, but he certainly didn't dissuade people from saying that he was when they were saying he didn't correct them
Right.
There was things
he didn't, and he didn't. And you can look at interviews, and there's no pushback. There's no like, excuse me, I didn't go to Iraq. Right.
Exactly.
And I retired, as my unit was deploying. And so
we were retired a couple months before.
A couple months
deployed,
before,
right?
Yes.
What is the whole
But those
story
guys know
behind it?
they know that they're going, right? It's
Right.
not like they suddenly get a paper, on one day. There's a build up to that, and they're aware of it. And so, even his personnel were saying, look, we all knew we were going. He knew he was going. Now, okay, fine. He made the decision, right? But I think with his what do you want to call it, padding of his resume for political purposes, obviously, when he was running for Congress.
Well, there's more than one thing, too, right? He said he was a head coach.
Yeah, he was a head coach.
He was not a head coach. He was an assistant coach, which is an honorable thing. There's nothing wrong with being an assistant coach.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he also inflated his actual rank, right? He was slated to achieve a certain rank.
Right.
And how did it go? Like he had to commit to the fact that he wasn't going to retire in order to achieve his rank? Is that what it was?
He didn't finish essentially the program, the coursework, for a command sergeant major.
Can you explain how that works?
Well, I mean, he had the rank, right? He was awarded. I think he had gone to, where did he go? I think he went to Italy on an assignment. Look, he's in the National Guard, right? So, First of all, there was sort of this, I've served for 24 years. Or he's not really saying that. His supporters and the people on the Democratic side say, well, he served for 24 years. Yes, he did, okay? But it's the National Guard. And that doesn't mean, I'm not disrespecting at all anyone who serves in the National Guard. It's a very honorable thing to do. I'm just saying they're kind of conflating, just like he did with his rank or these other things, the idea that somehow he was,
over there for
full-time, 24 years in the military. And he was working as a school teacher, as you pointed out, he was working as a coach. Look, the guy could be who knows? He could be a great guy. I'm just saying that there were statistics that said upwards of 70+% of people have padded their CVs. So what he's done isn't unusual, but it's very much highlighted now. It's like
70%.
Yeah. And look, I've got a service line in the company, Portman Square Group. I am a marketing machine.
Good job.
Thank you. And but we have a due diligence group that does nothing but background investigations, due diligence. And so they spend a lot of time looking at people's CVs or resumes, and it's a shocking number of people. And sometimes it's not really nefarious. It's just okay. Maybe I misspoke, or maybe I did put something in, and I over-egged the pudding a little bit. But then, like 10 or 15 years down the road, you've kind of ridden on that for all that time, and we've seen that happen where people suddenly get called out, right?
Yes.
And so. I don't read too much into the fact that he padded his resume. I think it is very disrespectful that he didn't push back on the idea that he was overseas deployed in combat, or that he claimed that he retired in a position. I think they gave him a master sergeant title or rank when he retired, which is just one step below.
Which is still honorable.
Very honorable.
And it's nothing to be shameful of. Like saying that, just stating the actual rank, it doesn't change anybody's opinion of him at all. Yeah. So, again, so it's a lie that doesn't really elevate you.
It doesn't, and when you get called out on it, it just kind of makes you look like a dipshit, right? And that's something that he's got to deal with now.
But he did once say, he was talking about assault rifles. Air quotes, assault rifles for the gun nuts out there. I get it. I'm on your side. But he said, but when he was talking about, you could kind of assault somebody with a BB gun, right?
Yeah.
But when he was talking about them, he said the weapons of war that I carried, I don't know the exact quote, but it was essentially alluding to the fact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, is it? I don't understand it. Is it necessary? No. Did he feel that it helped in his early days running for a political office? Obviously, right?
Well, he's also seen Joe Biden get away with it, right? Joe Biden has gotten away with lying about his record, lying about his accomplishments, from the beginning back when he was running for Senate.
Right.
I'm sure you've seen that old video where he confronts the guy and tells him he's got a higher IQ than him and how he graduated at the top of his class and lies.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And you're right. He's gotten away with it, just like, apparently the plagiarism and other issues, and certainly now the mental decline. He's still president, I guess.
I guess. But he's kind of not. He's kind of quit.
Who is in charge? That's the question I think a lot of people are wondering.
Well, Kamala's on tour, so she can't be doing. She's out there doing concerts.
Oh, she's going to do an interview tomorrow night
with Tim, though.
With Tim, because she's a strong woman, so she wants a strong man by her side.
She does not want to be alone out there, which is wild. You have to be alone. Who the fuck has ever done an interview? The only interview since they have been nominated by their party, right? Since they've been chosen. Who has ever not done an interview for this long?
Yeah, and then I get why, because they get away with it. Look, they got a very compliant and incurious media for the most part, right? And they're just letting it go. Compliant.
But it's more than compliant.
I know. I'm trying to.
Yeah, you're trying to be nice.
Yeah, I'm trying to be nice.
Complicit is a better word.
Yeah, and it's on CNN, and it's taped. It's not even live.
Right.
And it's the two of them, and there is no way in hell. Maybe I'm going to be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope it's a hard-hitting interview where they ask. I tell you what, actually, what I would love to have them ask first is, okay, Vice President. I guess you have to say Madam Vice President. How long were you aware of President Biden's mental decline?
Yes.
Because right up until the last minute, you were talking about how sharp his attack he was, and how vigorous he was, and how he was, better than men half his age. And what I don't understand is how people aren't marching on Washington with pitchforks and torches over the fact that this small group, her and who else? Anita Dunn, the chief of staff over at the White House, Klain, a variety of that cabal's not that big, of people who had daily contact with President Biden. And they just lied to the American public for a significantly long time. They just deceived the American public. And nobody seems to give a shit, right?
Well, it's also, why was anyone believing it?
Right.
That's what was crazy. Right. And we were getting shit on left and right during the campaign, where I was like, when I compared him, I said, Biden being president is like having a flashlight with a bad battery and going for a long walk in the woods. There's no fucking way.
Banging on it, and it's not working.
Make it. And people were saying, no, don't you know he stutters? And they were saying all the. Well, there's no evidence of him stuttering when he was younger. This is crazy. There's a mental decline there. There's nothing wrong with mental decline. We're all going to experience it someday, kids. Yeah. But to say that it's not happening just because you don't want the other side to win is bananas.
Yeah, well, and really that's what crazy. It was. Anytime you called it out, because we all saw it, like you said, we're all heading in that direction. It's probably the one thing we all have in common. And we all know what it looks like. Everyone's got aging parents or aging grandparents.
Yes.
And so we knew it intuitively, right? Every time you saw him and he made a slip up or he faltered or he just kind of started staring off into space or he moved the way that he was moving, like you've seen your grandpa move, we knew it. But if you dared bring it up, you were just kicked in the ass, right? And suddenly somehow you were ageist and you were hyper partisan and you were just and you were MAGA and you were
the epitome of gaslighting.
Yeah,
gaslighting to the extreme, because it was so obvious and in your face. It's like, no, it's not raining out. Like, what? It's fucking pouring. Like, what are you talking about? Full gaslighting right in front of your face.
Yeah, and so that I would love that to be the very first question. Can you explain to us at what point in time you actually became aware that he was in significant mental decline, right? And again, I feel bad for the guy. I feel bad for anybody who's in that position, right?
Sure.
But he's the fucking commander-in-chief, right? He's the leader of the free world. So I think we have a right to expect more from that situation. But I don't think there's going to be none of those questions.
His last fuck you was saying that he wants Harris to take his place. That was his last fuck you, because from what I understand, they wanted to have a primary, and they wanted to pick their own person, and they didn't want to have Harris.
Yeah, she was nobody's idea of the best, most competent, most qualified candidate up until they orchestrated this, whatever you want to call it, anointment or coronation or
coup.
Call it a coup.
Call
it a coup.
It seems like a coup.
Yeah. So until that point, she wasn't the preferred, but now she's fucking Beyonce and Joan of Arc and
well, she had that one speech where she really fucking nailed it when she was talking about Trump, and this is after Trump even got shot, when she didn't even address the fact that we have to be more tolerant and
You mean that teleprompter speech?
Yeah. That teleprompter speech, she fucking nailed it.
Yeah.
She nailed it. But when you get her off teleprompter, she's fucked.
Yeah.
She's fucked.